China has done it again. They have claimed areas of Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin as their own land in the new standard map. The 2023 map was released by Ministry of Natural Resources. The latest map follows Beijing in April, announcing it would standardize the names of 11 places in Arunachal Pradesh. The state media of China reported that the map was released during what is being called National Mapping Awareness Publicity Week in China. The map displayed by the Global Times showed Arunachal Pradesh, which China claims as South Tibet, and Aksai Chin, occupied by it in 1962 war as part of China. India has repeatedly told China that Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. Now, this raises the question of why China considers Arunachal Pradesh its land, and to understand this, you must examine the history behind it. The story begins in 1911 when Xinhai Revolution took place in China, ending its last imperial dynasty and establishing the Republic of China. At this time, the British sought to take advantage of China's confusion and settle disputes regarding Tibet. The people of Tibet, particularly the Lamas, wanted India to intervene between China and Tibet to resolve the rift. In 1913 and 1914, a conference was organized in Shimla to address the boundary issue. The British invited China and Tibet to take part in the conference, but after talks, the Chinese envoy denied accepting the treaty, and it was signed as a bilateral agreement. The treaty clarified that Tibet would be divided into Inner and Outer Tibet. Inner Tibet would make its own decisions but would be under the control of China, while Outer Tibet, which shared a border with India, would be ruled by a Tawang monastery in India. In 1949, a civil war erupted in China, and in 1950, China's People Liberation Army entered Tibet. Tibet's government and China's new government signed a 17-point agreement making Tibet a part of China. This prompted India's Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, to write a letter to Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru expressing concern over the disappearance of Tibet and the expansion of China almost up to India's border. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel wrote, "The final action of the Chinese, in my judgment, is a little short of perfidy. Even though we regard ourselves as friends of China, the Chinese do not regard us as their friends. We have to consider what new situation now faces us as a result of the disappearance of Tibet as we know it and the expansion of China almost up to our gates. In 1914, we entered into a convention with Tibet, which is not endorsed by the Chinese. We seem to have regarded Tibetan autonomy as extended to independent treaty relationship. Presumably, all that we require was Chinese counter-signature. The Chinese interpretation of suzerainty seems to be different. We can therefore safely assume that very soon they will disown all the stipulations which Tibet has entered into with us in the past. Chinese ambitions in this respect not only cover the Himalayan slopes on our side but also include the important part of Assam." However, Nehru did not see this as a threat and said, "Map or no map, McMahon Line is and will be our border." India later called the area south of McMahon Line NEFA, that is Northeast Frontier Agency. During the 1962 Sino-Indian War, China infiltrated the McMahon Lines and came almost 90 kilometers into the Indian territory. In 1963, China agreed to go back to the McMahon Line and release all the prisoners of war. In 1972, NEFA was renamed Arunachal Pradesh, but China started calling it Tibet's southern part. Despite efforts to hold talks and improve the situation, tension along the border continues to this day. Both armies are seen standing through satellite images with roads and facilities regularly being built. However, there seems to be no improvement in the border tension.